Hello there, welcome back to another reaction video. Today we're gonna be reacting to the best women from Warhammer 40k by the Gooner Goblin. It's Women's of the Month, and today we're gonna celebrate it by reacting to the best women in 40k. You guys enjoyed this video? Will you please hit all those tiny buttons down below and leave a comment for what else you want me to react to. So let's get into it. As soon as the
What's up,
Wi-Fi,
nerds?
okay.
It's Zach the Gooner Goblin here. Warhammer 40k
And
is an
McDonald's
enormous
Wi-Fi
setting
right there.
filled with vastly different characters, cultures, and species.
Yep.
With all of this variance, anyone and everyone can feel represented. 40k is inclusive without even trying to be. So to me, it is ridiculous that with the vastness of the lore, there is a small subsection of the fandom that can't fathom that women can be in positions of power or
I wouldn't say small, but yeah, they're just a part of the faction that just, like they say, a bit babies.
just be general badasses. Now, this could be from an influx of newer people with the smash hit that was Space Marine 2, but I have seen a substantial amount of discourse surrounding women in positions of power in the 40k universe, among other things. Now, this has somewhat always kind of been around, especially since GW created.
Oh my god, dude. I seen this meme so much. I was like, who is this dude? But when I no when I read the comment and say that this is a female, I was like, what? No way. And also, this looks like this is from the older, much older videos, because I saw the minis for the new custodian females, and yeah, the GW is really pushing through the female custodians, which I don't really have a problem with that. I just hope that it fits the setting pretty well and it shows respect to Warhammer.
Female custodians, but that isn't what I'm going to be talking about in this video. So today I would like to highlight some of my favorite women in Warhammer 40k. A quick disclaimer, there are tons of powerful or important women in 40k, so this will not be an exhaustive list. Also, as each of these ladies could have their own dedicated video, think of this as less of a deep dive and more of an overview or highlight. If your favorites don't make it in this video, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for commenter Anna Banana for this video idea. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, or else
Thank you,
chaos
Anna
wins,
Banana.
and join the Discord to learn how to enter into our monthly giveaway.
Okay, I had to say this. I tried to get in the Discord, and for some reason, like I add my phone and it says my phone number, and it says that it doesn't like register. I was like, what? So this shit is annoying. I want to get in the Discord, but the fucking that bullshit of uh are you a human? Put your personal thing, which is just stupid. Anyway, let's continue.
Hey, let's girl boss and gatekeep our way into the video. The discourse in Space Marine 2 in which I was referring revolved around Major Sarkana. This is coming from the same kind of idiots that made the wokeness spreadsheet, saying that it is improbable for there to be a female authority figure. Their argument is that she was included just to appease the woke mob, even though one of the few notable characters in the original was Second Lieutenant Mira, and that was made in 2011, before woke was even a thing. Having women in power isn't a new thing for Warhammer, whether it be the aforementioned ladies or another example being Admiral Kaminsky.
It's so weird because during my childhood, when I was watching television, if you don't know what the television is, it's before subscriptions where you just sit down and watch whatever you want. So I was just watching a lot of cartoons, mostly superhero cartoons, and they do a pretty good job, representing women in power. But they also show them they're very human. They're very relatable. Something that we have been not that pleased to see, if that makes any sense. Ray Skywalker, for example. Yeah. So I just don't have a problem with that. I just have the problem with the people who just pitch the ideas. But that's just my opinion.
Eska in the book Battle for the Abyss. But to start this off, let's talk about the epitome of Dami Mommy, Lotara Saren. Lotara
Hey.
Saren was the commanding officer of the World Eaters flagship, the Conqueror, during the Horus Heresy. If you know anything about the World Eaters, you would know they are some rowdy boys, to say the least. I mean,
Yeah.
they eventually follow Khorne the Blood God for a reason. So the fact that she really did not take any shit was insane. I think a good example of this is from the book Betrayer. So this all started because the World Eaters captain Delvarius
Oh
basically
yeah, they
abandoned
got.
ship.
He's gonna
So
talk
against
about this.
Lotara's directive, he left the ship to go fight, but in doing so, he essentially left the ship undefended. So when they were boarded by Ultramarines, it ended up being kind of a shit show because they had less manpower. So obviously, this kind of pissed Lotara off. So when Captain Delvaris comes back to the ship, he's all happy. He's like, he just got to fight, so he's pretty stoked. But Lotara sees him, and she's like, okay, this guy's got to be reprimanded, right? But instead of doing that in a normal way, she pulls out her las pistol and just shoots him in the face. His people just start shooting back. So another World Eater, Eska the Librarian, comes and protects Lotara. So then this becomes like a big thing, right? The captain wasn't dead because he was wearing his power armor, so he gets up and he's like, how dare you? And he pulls off his hammer and he's ready to fight. And Lotara's just like, okay, and just spits at his boots. So then the librarian has to get in between them even more. Eska keeps on being like, stand down. Delvaris is like, no, she shot me. I'm gonna get her. Until eventually 3 more World Eaters come up to stand next to Lotara, one of them being Sergeant Skane, and he asks, problem, Captain? Delvaris is bristling at this point. So he just points at Lotara and starts, but Sergeant Skane just cuts him off and says, I wasn't asking you, Captain Delvaris. I was asking Captain Saren. And Lotara just has this cold-ass line, and she just says, nothing I can't handle, Skane, but you...
Yeah. No. I've been like, when I first noticed, I just thought, yeah, oh yeah, she's a woman. She's a definite woman. And you may think at first she was like some type of Mary Sue, but no, she's actually a very like tragic character, just like Angron. So I would highly recommend reading the, what was the book called again? I forgot. Well, the book with Lorga and Angron, basically like that, because it's very good. I mean, it's been created by Eri Damson Bog. How do you say that name? But yeah, I will highly recommend it.
welcome to stay anyway. Then Delvaris is just like, no, this doesn't concern either of you, and his men are starting to gather around him. And Lotara just spits on his boots again. And there's some more back and forth until the apothecary
Red
Cargos
Forces
comes up to Skane and says, hey, this looks kind of entertaining. Did I miss something? And then Delvaris looks up and says, she shot me. To which the apothecary just says, well, I'm sure you deserved it. I think this really highlights the amount of respect that a lot of World Eaters had for Lotara.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
this is a mortal human woman that just shot an Astartes captain and got away with it. And that never really would have happened in any legion, let alone the World Eaters. Now, the only other person who gave it to the World Eaters like that was Angron himself. And surprisingly, Lotara was actually pretty amicable with Angron, which is weird coming from the kill first, ask questions never Primarch. She would even sometimes talk shit and have banter with Angron and get away with it. Which, again, he has killed
I've seen
members of
this
his own
meme
legion for less.
so many
She once
times.
complained about remembrancers aboard the ship, and Angron immediately expelled them. And yes, there is in fact fan art of them.
Of course.
Speaking of remembrancers, this one might seem like a weird choice, but next I'm going to talk about Mercedes Ulleton. She was introduced to us in the first Horus Heresy novel, Horus Rising. Being that this was the first novel of the Horus Heresy, it is likely that Mercedes was your introduction to the concept of remembrancers. Remembrancers were essentially chroniclers. They were human civilian artists, historians, journalists, etc. that accompanied fleets during the Great Crusade. She is also notable as she acts as somewhat of a foil for the main character Garviel Loken. She becomes kind of like his personal remembrancer, listening to his stories about past and current battles. But I would say almost more importantly, she is our window into how insane Astartes and the concept of Astartes actually are. She directly comments on their weird, inhuman physiology, even if she actually likes it, and reflects on how they are removed from humanity with their lack of human emotions such as fear. She also acts as an anchor for Loken's humanity when his legion and Primarch are slowly falling to chaos. She is also the reason Rogel Dorn finally sees the truth of Horus's betrayal using her memory coil implants, saving Nathaniel Mara from execution. So I would say she is an important and underrated character in those first books who persists throughout almost the entire heresy.
Okay, that's a big feat because when Rogel Dorn set his mind, he doesn't change it. He's one of the most like loyal to the Imperium. So when you hear any type of bullshit, even for a joke, he's gonna beat your ass for insulting things like that. So damn, that's an impressive feat.
Also, she has a big ass head, and I like that.
I never looked at the
Oh my
ass. I
god.
always looked at that fucking cranium.
Next, I'm going to talk about another remembrancer. But this time, she wasn't exactly known for her job. I am speaking, of course, of Euphrates Keeler. She was actually friends with Mercedes Allerton and was also
Oh.
attached to the 63rd Expedition. She was an imagist until she was almost killed by the demon Samus during the Battle of the Whisperhead
The
Mountains.
fuck?
After this, she
Samus?
joined the Emperor-worshipping cult, forgive me for my pronunciation, Licticio Divinitatis. She would later banish a demon that was accidentally summoned aboard the ship back to the warp, cementing her as the saint of the cult. She would continue being a
Okay.
figurehead for Emperor worship and would pop up multiple times throughout the heresy, whether that be by helping Nathaniel Garro or leading a sacrificial prayer during a last stand, stopping the Death Guard and reactivating the Astronomicon, saving the lives of Sigismund, Poor Swain, and
Wow.
many others. Hell, she also took part in a prayer with Sigismund to the enthroned emperor. She was an important character throughout the heresy, and I think her influence extends to modern 40k lore and the fact that they
Oh,
all worship
definitely.
the emperor. Now, I'm going to stray away from humans for a second and talk about the Eldar, for you filthy,
Oh, I know who's it gonna be.
Xenos-loving heretics. Not to say I can blame you. Yvraine is a
I knew
notable
it.
Eldar who has walked many paths.
By the way, people just I would say I don't know where I've heard this, but I think everyone just had enough with Urain to be just a plot device and to try to be a they want her to be more of a main character because they just get scarred over um the Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, and you know people don't like that shit. That's what I heard from a friend.
From dancer to warlock to warrior, she
Yeah, that's
currently
it.
serves as emissary for the newly awakened Eldar god Enid. Again, I apologize for any mispronunciations on my part. To me, her most
Oh, don't
notable
worry.
lore involves her part in the revival of the Ultramarines Primarch Rabute Gilliman. Guiding the survivors of the 13th Black Crusade back to Ultramar, she worked closely with Belisarius Cawl to aid in the resurrection, using her powerful psychic abilities to essentially stitch his shattered soul back together. Also, if fan art is anything to go by, she is definitely sleeping with him now, and being able to handle all of that is impressive in and of itself.
Are you winning, son?
Oh yeah,
And
he's winning.
saving the
He is
arguable
winning.
best for last, we have Saint Celestine. Okay,
Ah,
so
the
I'm just
one
gonna
and
level with
only
you. I
ever Saint
love
Celestine.
the Adepta Sororitas. I could have easily
Guns
made the
with
whole
guns.
video
I mean, who
just
doesn't like
about
that?
them. But in the spirit of making diverse content, I decided to branch out. But there was no way in hell I wasn't going to talk about the living saint herself. Before she was proclaimed a living saint, she was a Sister Repentia of the Order of
Oh.
Our Martyred Lady. Okay, so Sister Repentias are basically sororitas who have
Yeah.
failed or fallen short of one or more of their strict religious codes. But
So basically, they just want to like, as he explained, repent for any sin that they commit, and so they strip naked, like completely no armor, no protection, nothing, and they grab a big ass chainsaw and just go Leroy Jenkins at the enemy, which is fucking awesome.
still like super horny for the Emperor's grace, so they seek to repent and earn back that favor. They do this by throwing themselves headlong into battle with little to no armor to seek redemption in the fires
Yeah,
of
okay,
battle.
I'm sorry for interrupting your explanation.
Oh, yeah, right. Saint Celestine. So during her time as a Sister Repentia, she was thought to have been killed during fighting in the Palatine Schism, killing over 100 schismatics before she fell. But lo and behold, she wasn't dead, and then everybody around her is like, holy shit. Is she touched by the Emperor? All her wounds are healed, so there's something that's going for her, so that's crazy. So then she gets back up, she's cool, and then she leads the charge as a figurehead. And then halfway through, she's like, okay, hey guys, this is cool and all, but I gotta go to this shrine. And everybody's like, what? But then she does. And then she spends some time in the shrine, and then she comes out clad in the armor of St. Catherine and wielding the ardent blade. Essentially, she has now become a vessel for the Emperor's sweet, sweet divine radiance. She later died on Forax as the War Master detonated an atomic failsafe, annihilating everything for miles
Yeah,
across.
there she
After
goes.
that, she would come back anytime the Imperials needed her most. For example, she would come back at a crucial moment of the Promethean War War, where she slew Demon Prince Lord Gralistix, after which she disappeared again. During the 13th Black Crusade, she manifested again, battling Abaddon the Despoiler. And
Alright.
she was also part of the group that guided the survivors to Ultramar,
Yeah.
leading to the resurrection of Gilliman. She later fought and died to Karn, but to be fair, Karn is a complete unit and 40K's version
Now,
of the
that's
Doom
awesome.
guy, so there's not really any shame in that.
Yeah.
But this leads me to the next notable thing about her. Every time she dies, she wakes up in a hell dimension of the warp with her memory wiped.
Yeah, this is what I heard, that every time she dies, she basically go into this realm where all her skulls are just pile up, and she has to make it out there to resurrect. And I want to say more, but that is essentially what it is, and which is fucking hardcore, and I love it.
Wakes up on a huge mountain made of skulls and bones, forced to take part in various trials, and faced with unspeakable horrors, slowly regaining her memory, armor, and sword. If she is able to overcome her trials, she gets to return to life once more. Each one of her many deaths leads to this, but each time she perseveres, time and time again. And that
Which
will
is
finish
awesome.
us off. Thank you so much for watching, and if you want me to cover anything else, please let me know in the comments below. Until next time, Goblin out.
You know, I hope he will do a part 2 of best best women in Warhammer 40k. I think it'll be a good time to do that. Anyway, I think that's a good time to end it. Thank you guys for watching this reaction video. I will leave a link to the original video in the description below. I also leave the link of Gooner Goblin himself. Until the next time, bye.